Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can all see us and we are now officially live. Really excited for this webinar today. So I'm joined by the lovely Evie at Jet2 Holidays, and we'll be talking around how Jet2 are using Thrive as their all-in-one learning and communication solution. So excited to get into it. For anyone that doesn't know, Jet2 Holidays are one of the biggest UK-based travel operators. So I believe, Evie, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you operate your own airline and travel package holidays. So a really wide breadth and depth of employees that you have under the Jet2 brand. So really exciting that you use Thrive to deliver all of your learning and communications to them. So Evie, thank you very, very much for joining me today. I think we'll start with hearing a little bit about you, your role at Jet2. So yeah, let's get started there.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. So I'm Evie. I'm the training manager for the contact centre at Jet2 Holidays. And I started working for the company back in 2016. I actually started out in the sales department, taking calls straight out of university. So I got really lucky working for Jet2. After about a year, I ended up becoming a trainer on the contact centre training team. I've got a degree in education studies anyway, so I kind of knew that I wanted to get into something around education. So once again, just fell on my feet with that. And then, was a trainer on the team for a while before getting into learning design. Was a learning designer on the team for a while, and now I manage the team. So I've been working for the company for quite a while now.
Yeah, you certainly have. So thanks, Evie. And I know it's sort of come around full circle a little bit, because when we were first talking, that was back in, I think, 2019. Yeah. And obviously then COVID happened. So lots and lots of change. I think you were probably a business that was so directly affected by COVID more than others. So I know it sort of took a little while to get Thrive in there, but eventually 2023, we launched and got in there for Jet2 Holidays, which is exciting. Before we get into all of the detail, I've got lots of questions and things that we want to run through today. Just wanted to get started with a few icebreakers. So everyone here that's joined us today can learn a little bit more about the personal Evie before we get into the work Evie. So to start off, what is your top book or TV show or podcast that you are really into at the moment?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. Had we have had sunnier weather this summer, I would have had loads of books to talk to you about, because I love sitting in the garden and reading. But I just haven't had much chance to do that this year. So at the minute, we're watching The Rings of Power, the new Lord of the Rings TV show.
Nice.
Controversial. I don't like the films, but I'm really liking the TV show.
Oh, that is controversial.
Yes. Yeah. But no, loving it. Absolutely loving it. So for anyone that hasn't seen that yet, go watch it. It's really good.
I need a new series recommendation, so I will take you up on that. Okay. And one more icebreaker. So working for a travel company, thought we had to get a travel one in there. If you could travel to any destination or country that Jet2 fly to, let's say, right now, where would you go to and why?
I would go to Mallorca. I love it. We've been so many times. It holds a special place in my heart. I just think that the island offers so much. So I would go to Mallorca in a heartbeat.
Oh, love that. I love Mallorca. Okay, that's great. So let's get into the questions then. I know everyone will be here today to hear all about how you're using Thrive, what's worked well for you. So it'd be really good just to sort of set the scene for everyone that's joined us to understand how you're using Thrive within your organisation, specifically for the contact centre team. And if we could get a little sneak peek as well at some point, that would be really good. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we're using Thrive as pretty much a comms first platform, because we're really trying to boost engagement and get people going to the site. The site for us is that central place where they're going to get all of the key messages that they need day in, day out to help them with their job role, whether it's something that has just changed that they need to know right now in order to better support our customers, whether it's to push training out there. They get key messages, and we can use Thrive's audiences to push tailored messages out as well to different teams to make sure that what they're getting is specific to them too, which we feel really keeps them engaged. But then I suppose from my side of things, the training side of things, we have training on there, all of your standard e-learns, your compliance-based stuff, but we have at the time of need content as well. So people are using the site not only to get those key messages and that comms element, but they're going on to access what they need when they need it to enable them to support their customers. So yeah, the training and the comms works really, really well together, but we are comms first.
Okay, yeah, love that. So if you sort of say you're a comms first user of Thrive, which is great, like you really do embody that all-in-one stop shop. Too many S's in there, but you embody that there really well at Jet2. So how do you manage that from an internal perspective? How do you make sure that obviously you're able to run it from a communication solution, but also to ensure everyone does the training that they need to do as well?
Yeah, so myself and the senior manager for comms and engagement, we work really closely together. Our strategies are very aligned anyway. Our teams work very close together. So we have a very good understanding of what we kind of need to do and what our roles are on the site. So from the comms side of things, as I said, they kind of push out all of your really important key messages. We look after the training side of things. I'd already mentioned we're quite big on engagement. So we like making sure that people are, reading what we're putting out there. Thrive's got an amazing dashboard in the background so we can see what people are resonating with the most. So it is more the comms and engagement team that are making people come back to that site, drawing them in so that they can then go on and do the training side of things.
Okay, nice. And I mean, yeah, when you say you get some good engagement on the platform, worth pointing out here that I think you are one of our most engaged customers. You are consistently in that top 10 leaderboard of engagement across Thrive, and you have been, I think, since you started. So you're definitely doing something right, which is really, really good. So I think it'd be really good to get into sort of how do you focus on that engagement piece? What is it that you think works? What do you think people are coming into the Thrive platform for?
Yeah, so the constant engagement team, they run campaigns that get a lot of traction. So I can show you some stuff later on, kind of when I demo my screen. Oh, there it is. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, I can see that. So that's great.
Perfect. I'll talk you through it because this will give you a much better understanding of kind of what it looks like and what's drawing people back and why they do want to come and visit this. So at the minute, a great example, we've launched a brand new destination. So we've got a new destination on the Amalfi Coast. That's kind of your top center. All of our key messages go on in forms of campaigns. So yeah, it's nice. It's engaging. We've then got sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, with your campaigns, how do you sort of dictate what you have there? Do you purely use that from a comms perspective, or do you have like your training and learning initiatives that you would post up as a campaign as well?
There can be, but it is primarily your comms and engagement. Yeah, it's this is a great example, a brand new destination. There was a skills showcase that we ran not so long ago with top tips on how to go in for interviews, things like that. So yeah, we like to keep the campaign banners fun and colourful and engaging.
Yeah, and I know from I'm regularly sneaking into your site and having a little peek at what you're up to. So I know you're always updating them. Do you have like a calendar that you stick to, or like a specific, we have to change the campaign every month, or is it just as and when?
There's a fixed calendar, but I believe the comms team do try and be a bit more reactive with it as well, so that if anything does come up that they weren't aware of, there is scope to kind of put that out there. So yeah, there's a bit of a calendar, but we like to kind of take it as it comes as well. And if I wanted to put something training related on there, for example, we absolutely could. So we work really well together in that respect.
Yeah, nice. Okay, let's see what else we've got on here then.
Yeah, so we changed the structure of this based on colleague feedback. We've got a real open door policy, and we want to make sure that what we're doing does work for everybody. I suppose at the end of the day, they're our internal customers, so we need to make sure that we're putting stuff out that they need to help them with their roles. So we've got a need to know block at the very top of the Thrive platform. This is just for all of your important stuff, your key messages. It might be things to help them on the phones. As you can see here, this is kind of going out with overtime, for example. So something that people really want to be seeing. This has really helped us as well with mass disruption events. So we had this year, like the wildfires in Rhodes or the flooding in Skiathos. If our customers are finding out about these events and we need to update them on it pretty quick, then we can put stuff in this need to know block. So it's at the top of everyone's page. They can see it when they first log in. And it's really useful if someone's been on annual leave for 2 weeks. They can come in, they can look through the need to know, and they can catch up on everything they've missed that is urgent and important.
Nice. Okay, thanks, Evie. And what comes next?
Next section down is your nice to know. So this is a bit like need to know. It is important, but it's not super important. It's more of your next tier down. But it is a good place for any competitions that might be running, any incentives, a bit more of your fun stuff threaded throughout. So your need to know is more of a, if you've been off on annual leave, you need to come in and you need to review that section. But then your nice to know is the secondary one.
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad, next one down, that this block is here for me to show you all today as well. So we've got some really exciting events coming up for the contact centre over this winter period. We've got some road shows that we're running that are in-person events to get everybody together. But we have our Christmas party, which is a big award ceremony that happens every year. There's always loads of excitement around it, but we've been able to make a really big song and dance about it on the site and really drum up even more excitement than we have done in previous years. So the campaign for this, when it first launched, was amazing. The comms team did such an amazing job. They even changed the colour scheme of the platform to align with the theme. So yeah, any supporting resources sit on the homepage so people have them when they need them.
Yeah, great.
Another block I'll just show you. So this is all about supporting you through the summer, which is our busiest period. So this is a selection of videos from senior management with some handy hints and tips on how to better support people throughout those summer months. And then finally, we've just got a what's new on Flight Deck, which is what we call Thrive, which is great for colleagues just to dip in and have a little look on, because we are constantly updating our content. So it's a great place just for them to see what is new.
So you mentioned that obviously engagement is key for you guys, and you can see here on your homepage, you're really using Thrive for, I mean, it just looks great. I love it. But also you have a lot of different types of content on there. So is there a specific sort of content type that you think works well from an engagement perspective, or is it a mixture? Like you have your events on there, you have campaigns, videos, etc.
A real mixture. We do try, whether it is your more comms and engagement pieces or it is your learning pieces, we do try to have a complete mixture on there anyway, because we do find that keeps things fresh. If you're just accessing the same thing all the time, it can just get a bit boring. So yeah, we try and keep things fresh on there. But I suppose articles as well. You might not think an article, you might think that maybe more a video or an e-learn or something that is a bit more engaging would get more engagement, but we do tend to go out to our people with process changes or just to get their thoughts and feelings on new things that are coming. Or yeah, we use the comment function a lot, basically. So we put articles out there to just update them on things, and then they tend to comment and give us their thoughts and feelings on it. And I think senior management do a great job at acting on that. And ensuring that everybody feels heard so that they can encourage that in future.
Yeah, love that. Which actually links to one of the questions that we've got in the chat from Billy. So she's asked, what mechanisms did you use to gather the feedback from colleagues on the user experience for Thrive or Flight Deck? So was that mainly just through the comments, or did you do anything else?
Comments, feedback surveys, in-person events, talking to people in focus groups. We've done it all just to make sure that we're hitting the mark, but we will continue to do that as well. I think a big thing, particularly if you work in learning and development, is that I don't think I've ever been happy with anything that we've made 100%, because we should always be striving to keep enhancing that. I think it's the same for our comms and engagement team as well. And whatever we're putting out onto there will never be the finished article, because we just keep wanting to make it better and align that with the feedback we get in.
Yeah, nice. And I think we'll be moving on to kind of some of the more onboarding and all that kind of stuff. So before we do that, I'll just pick up on another question in the chat, which is also from Billy. So thank you for your questions. Anyone else, please do throw your questions in the chat as we go. So yeah, how do you gather updates and changes, hot off the press news from other areas in the business to ensure that it's received, processed and uploaded in a timely manner?
Oh, great question. Not really one for me. It's not my area. We have a great comms and engagement manager that kind of handles all of that. But from working so closely with her, I would say it's just having really great working relationships with all of the areas of the business that then impact our little area of the business, to ensure that we're keeping in constant communication. And we've got some good processes for making sure that things do then go onto the platform in a timely manner. If we have something really urgent that goes on, we know who needs to be informed. We can maybe all get together to draft something, get that signed off and get it out there as quick as we can.
Love that. Thank you. Okay, so moving on then. I know, Evie, one of your biggest projects this year has been moving your onboarding process for new starters to a digital one. So can you talk us through sort of what made you decide to make that change, to move it to digital?
Yeah, so kind of post-pandemic, we saw a real shift in what our colleagues wanted, primarily our part-time colleagues. We identified that they wanted greater flexibility when it came to their training. So we made a product that was deliverable for them around their hours, to allow them that greater flexibility. So yeah, we made a brand new induction that is fully digital with a few caveats, but it just gave them a bit more control over things happening in their lives outside of work as well. So I think a good example would be for anyone that's run inductions, I'm sure you can sympathise with this. If you're running an induction for a set period of time, someone's joining and then they find out that their graduation ceremony is right slap bang in the middle of that induction period and they need that day off. If that was your traditional trainer-led induction, them taking that day off is then them missing that day's worth of content. You then have to get them back in when they come back in, and catch them up and then integrate them back into that group. And sometimes you might have to draw resource from elsewhere to do that. And it might put a bit of extra pressure onto them, which we don't want. Whereas now we've got a bit more flexibility with this digital induction that we can actually say, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, of course, it's your graduation ceremony. Go enjoy it. And you can leave your training where it was. You can pick it back up where you left off when you come back in. It reduces that pressure on them, and they can attack the induction at their own pace. So yeah, that's been a real highlight for us and a key benefit, but we've then been able to take that method and apply that for our full-time colleagues as well, so everybody gets more flexibility from this new style of induction.
Amazing. Okay, so obviously we know that you've had some amazing results with moving that onboarding process to digital. Worth just mentioning here, we have submitted and gone for a joint award together, which is for the best tech-based onboarding program at the Learning Tech Awards, which is super exciting. So can you talk to us, I know you can't get into too much of the detail, but can you talk to us about what are the sort of results and the successes you've seen since moving that to be digital?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, since moving the part-time inductions to digital, we've managed to reduce speed to competency, which has been incredible. We're able to get them out into their teams a lot quicker. I have made notes on this because I do not want to jumble my figures around. So if I'm looking over here, I am reading. We've managed to increase their attendance by 20%, which I firmly believe is down to us being able to offer them more flexibility. We've increased conversion by 10% during their induction period, and we've managed to reduce the number of queries that they ask our dedicated support team. So we do have a team on hand for when a colleague is on the phone. If they have a query, they can go to that team and get that answer if they need a bit of reassurance. But because we've now run this induction digitally, colleagues know where this content is a bit better on the site because they use Thrive for that induction period. So it's made them more self-sufficient, and we've actually been able to reduce the amount of queries that they've asked the support team by up to 44%.
Amazing. That's very impressive. And do you think, in terms of the fact that those colleagues have now been using Thrive right from day one, do you think it's also helped in terms of embedding Thrive as the place that they go to for the answers on a sort of more continuous basis, so helped with that continual engagement with Thrive as well?
Definitely. Yeah, that is something that we are continuing to monitor, especially for these new digital inductions. We're trying to just look and assess those behaviours and basically see what we can steal for our trainer led to see if we can mirror those behaviours there as well. But yeah, it's just spending more time on the platform. It's already really intuitive. It's easy to use. You can find what you need when you need it, which is great because we didn't have that before. But yeah, for those people sitting those inductions in particular, they have just spent more time on the site, so they are more used to it.
Yeah, great. So I think it goes to show that actually having Thrive as sort of that key point to go to for everything from day one has a real impact there. So talking about impact then, what do you think are the sort of top 3 biggest impacts that Thrive has helped you deliver, both from a personal perspective, but also from that sort of training perspective in terms of Jet2’s business performance?
The first one would be the ability to get out those key messages to colleagues in a timely manner. That has been incredible. I mentioned earlier about the mass disruption events. We've had a few of those, unfortunately, this year. So we have needed to get key messages out in a timely manner to help our colleagues better support our customers. So having Thrive for that has been great, because before everything was on Microsoft Teams. You might have had Teams for your communication, a traditional LMS for all your learning. Everything was quite separate. So now we have everything in one place. It has been a lot easier for colleagues to get those key messages when they need them. That would be the first one. My next one would be we now have all of that at the time of need content and learning in that one place. You mentioned it before. It is kind of a one-stop shop for our colleagues. So we're able to ensure the ongoing competency of all of the agents within our contact centre, whether that be them identifying that they've got a gap and actually going themselves, finding a relevant resource and plugging that skills gap, or whether they're in a coaching session with a leader, they've picked up on the fact that they've got a skills gap so they can give them resources at the time of need. There's a goal function on Thrive, which has been incredible for that. So, okay, we're going to send you this. Here you go. It pops through as a notification, and then the manager can see that if they've done it or not. So that's been a really great function for ensuring that everybody remains competent. And then finally, that reduction in support queries. We've been able to make a really good feedback loop by using the platform. So colleagues are asking our support team questions. We can then use that data to identify what they're struggling with. And then either my team can make training resources, put that out on the platform for when they need it, or it can be worked into the coaching, or it can be sent out as a comms. So kind of between a few of us as a team, we've got a bit of a feedback loop on the go to ensure everyone has what they need when they need it. And that is all thanks to the platform.
Love that. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so we've got a few more questions that we'll come on to. So one of them is, how do you make sure that you keep the platform fresh and ensure that people come back habitually?
So from a training side of things, and we spoke about this, about taking everyone's feedback on board, to keep things fresh, to make sure everything is accurate. And I've mentioned about, like, me and my team, we're never 100% happy with the stuff we put out, because we'll look at it again in a few weeks and think, oh, we could make a few little tweaks to that and we'll make it a bit more engaging. And I think you do need to continuously work on your training offering to keep it fresh and ensure it is accurate. Thrive has the ability for people to flag if something is incorrect or if it's out of date. So for us, we make sure our content is accurate. We work on little rebrands every now and again, and we reply to comments so that people have trust in that platform and know that they're being heard. But I see us as a little bit more behind the scenes. It's definitely the comms and engagement team for me that keep the platform looking fresh and make sure people are going back, because they know they need to go there to get all of those key messages. And you saw the homepage. It looks amazing. I'd love to say that's down to me. It is not. So yeah, they keep it looking really, really nice.
Oh, great. Okay, there's two other questions which are around feedback. So I feel like you might have sort of answered this. So fine if you've not got anything new or different to share here. But one of them is, what do you do to evaluate the effectiveness and usefulness of content?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I kind of answered it to a point. I think it's just keeping in constant communication with our colleagues. We send surveys out regularly anyway. We have NPS scores. But yeah, we listen to our people and we try and stay in communication with them as often as we can, whether that be in focus groups, via the comments on Thrive, or in little sessions or feedback forms.
And then another question, which again I think is sort of duplicated, but we'll go through it as well, which is from Neve. So how do you manage encouraging feedback from users and managing the amount of changes and updates required to the platform?
Oh, this is a long one. Let me just read this. So how am I managing encouraging feedback from users and managing the amount of changes and updates required to the platform? Do you know what? It comes in waves. Sometimes there's a lot of changes that needs to be made to the platform because naturally things do just go out of date, or we go through periods where lots of our processes or things on the website, for example, are changing. So we work, I mentioned, really closely with the comms and engagement team. There's spreadsheets and all sorts. We really try and keep on track of it ourselves. But sorry to repeat myself again, the flag function on the platform has been amazing for that, because there are going to be stuff that we miss. We've got a lot of stuff on the platform. So yeah, we rely on our colleagues to flag things as well so that we can jump straight on it and ensure accuracy.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and Dylan has asked how many employees use your site. So
loads. Off the top of my head, I do not know, but a lot. And yeah, I think we're probably adding even more as well. But at the moment, this isn't a Jet2-wide platform. It is just the contact center and then just supporting teams with that.
Yeah, so I can also answer this a little bit in terms of, so Jet2, they do use Thrive for their company-wide platform. So that's across 15,000 users. And then this one that we're talking about and sort of showcasing today is targeted at the contact center team. And that's used for around 2,000 people at the moment with, like Evie said, expansion plans underway there as well.
I'm glad one of us came prepared with a figure for that one.
Okay, so thank you for those questions. I think there's another one as well. So what are your personal top 3 features that you like to use within Thrive?
Oh, great question. Goals. I love goals. Yeah, for anyone not familiar with Thrive's goal function, you can just send. So if I've got someone on my team that really needs to learn, I don't know, about a new destination, I can assign them learning around that destination, and it then appears on their dashboard. I can see it on mine. I can turn on a certain function to tell me when they've done it as well. So it's a really good way to monitor that people are doing as I ask, which is great and lovely to see it all tracked. The flag function, I love that, because as I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to keep on top of all of the changes, but it's great when you've got 2,000 pairs of eyes to help you out. So that's amazing. And comments. We love chatting to our people, and they love chatting to us by the looks of things. So yeah, the comments have been great.
Love that. Yeah, and I think actually, like, we've not really called it out that much, but you do get so much engagement on that sort of social perspective with comments and things. So Really good that obviously your employees feel comfortable to use that feature and always want to get involved, which is great. Okay, another question as well is, what do you think makes Thrive different?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So for me, we used to use quite a traditional LMS. So when I first heard about Thrive, and as you mentioned earlier, Georgina, like we've known each other for years now, so I knew what Thrive was doing, but it just wasn't in place from the start. So it was great when we got you on board. I like that there's almost a bit of a social media aspect to it, a bit Netflixy, a bit social media-y. It doesn't feel like a website. It doesn't feel like the place I go to do this mandatory training. It feels like a really nice, fun place to be. I like that you've got a profile. You can put your profile picture on, a bit of a description. I'm tracking up points for things, so it's got that kind of gamification element on it as well, which we've got people doing competitions on that before. Let's see who can get the most points, which was really useful, especially when we first launched. But yeah, it's really fun. It's engaging from an admin perspective. We can organize content. I'm very organized. I like to make sure that we've got our tiles and our content in nice little neat pathways. And yeah, it feels like you've got a little bit more control over it. And it's not just a website. It's a real hub for engagement and learning.
Oh, great. I love that. Brilliant. Okay. I think that's sort of it in terms of the questions and everything that we had planned today. I have got one last question I want to finish on Evie, but is there anything else that you sort of wanted to cover or get across that I've not asked you yet?
I brought notes because I am very, very prepared. No, I think that's it from me. Yeah, no, I think we've covered everything.
Okay. I think we do have one more question. So do you have a long-term goal for Thrive? For example, what do you want to Thrive to achieve in a few years' time? And are there any ideas in the pipeline? And I will just say this has basically stolen the last question I wanted to finish on. So nice one to wrap on.
Oh, I love that. We have so many ideas, almost too many to mention, because I think there's so much you could do with the platform anyway. I think the ideas that we've got tend to change weekly because it feels like the options that you've got are endless, which is great. Yeah, we like thinking outside of the box with these kind of things. But for now, I think it's perfecting what we're doing. I think we're already great at what we're doing, and we've shouted about our engagement scores. People are using the site. I think it's fine-tuning and enhancing what we've got and continuing to do that before then starting to look outside the box. I think one of the things that we might turn on in the near future is the CPD element of the site, so that everybody has a set bits of learning that they need to do every year. So we're a travel company, so do we get people researching destinations for a minimum of 5 hours a year? To pull it out of my head, they do that anyway, but let's formalize it and let's put it on the site. So we've got that function that we can turn on. It's not turned on yet. So we're exploring the seemingly endless functions that Thrive has. So yeah, lots and lots of ideas.
Love that. Great. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I mean, my last question was, what are your next plans on Thrive? And I think you've answered that. So nothing else to cover from my side. I think we've gone through all the questions as well. So thank you, everyone, for putting your questions in. And Evie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us today and share a little bit more about what you guys are doing at Jet2.
Thank you so much. And thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you. And